Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a very different type of video. I will not be sharing about my health issues or any inspirational messages, but I will be sharing is my mom's life, my life with my mom. Now when you're watching this video, it will be pretty much released on September 25th at 7:01 p.m. That was the day that my mom passed away and the time. So this video is more like a little bit of the story of my mom. There's some good stuff, some bad, and a lot of it were bad too. But I'm gonna try to focus on the good stuff because I think it's time for her, for my mom, not to be seen only as a domestic violence victim, but she was a human being, and she had a lot of love for people around her, even though that she felt a lot of times alone. Now my mom, she was definitely a daughter, she was a sister, an aunt, a mother, even father, because me and my sisters never grew up with our fathers, so she played both roles, and even a grandmother. And excuse the noise in the outside. I live by the highway. But my mom, lived a very difficult life. She came to this country when she was 12. She was definitely abused from the time she was a child throughout her teenage years when she was here in the States, because she didn't come with her family. She was being abused every which way, from between family members and people around that they were acquaintances, ex-partners. And she even was a victim of rape, not just once, but multiple times, from ex-spouses. Even, unfortunately, coming from the medical community in the city. And a lot of times she carried a lot of that pain, and she didn't know how to let go of the trauma that she endured. She carried that pain with her. But also I look at her as not just a domestic violence victim, a victim of society, but she was also a person with a lot of heart. She would literally give the shirt off her back to help somebody. She would, there were moments that she would, because all my cousins, I had a lot of cousins. A lot of them passed away. But a lot of the ones that are alive, they do remember her fondly. Each one of them, when they got into a little bit of a trouble, they used to come to my mom, because they always looked at my mom as the second mother. And of course she will have them come in. She will come in, and they will come in, that is, I'm sorry. And they will come in and come to my mom's house, and she will cook for them. A lot of times if they were sick, she will baby them, try to, give them medicine, a lot of TLC. And then when they're feeling better, they'll be on their way to their own little lives. But that was my mom. She always loved her nieces and nephews, like she treated them like that was her own babies. And a lot of times, when she was feeling alone, she will contact her siblings, no matter where they lived, Puerto Rico or here in the States. She would be talking about her favorite stuff. She would love her salsa music. She loved 80s music because, after all, she had 3 daughters and all 3 of us will listen to 80s music. So she gravitated to the music we listened to and added to her repertoire of music that she wants to hear. She also had, she always found comfort of, like, when me and my sisters were older, we had like family get-togethers. And so, like, me and my sisters, we had a tendency, like, to get together and come up with silly situations or stories just to see her laugh. And believe me, we always had, when we got together as sisters and family, we always try to have a fun time. And she was hysterical laughing, like saying to us, oh, ustedes no tienen madre, meaning like, you girls don't have a mother. But it was in a funny way, because it wasn't like she was insulted, but it's just like we were so, like, a little bit out there when it came to situations with our mother. And she would also love, to dance. A lot of times she would be singing when she felt good. There were also other times that she felt very depressed, very sad, that when she wasn't around us, or when she wasn't, in moments that she was feeling happy, she would be very depressed. She would isolate herself and not be, socializing with people. But yet she always looked for other people to love her. And unfortunately, my mom always reached out to the wrong people to love her, because since she didn't get the love from her own mother because of her own traumas, she always felt like that need, like, to gravitate to somebody that could love her. Because she was like the overgiver in our family. So she overgave so much of herself to people that she never got anything in return. And, she didn't realize that she had genuine love. And unfortunately, when it came to me and my 2 younger sisters, we, as her daughters, we grew up in such a messed up environment with her because she was going through a lot of mental illness. And to us, we were raised like thinking that was normal, which deep down I always knew it wasn't normal, because I kept questioning her. And she kept getting upset because it wasn't like I'm being defiant of, like, what's going on, because I knew what was going on. But in a way, I wanted her to think and say, hey, there's a way out of this. And she was already too deep in her depression to even see the light. But what kept her going is, her love for me and my sisters. Even though our relationships were all wacky, because, like she said to us, yo nunca supe a criar a ustedes. And meaning in English is like, I never knew how to raise you girls. I never knew how to raise you. And it was very, hard for her. And she always said that till, her last days, that she never knew how to raise children because she was a child herself when she came here. So she didn't really have that stability of family, So to her, she only knew what she could know. And, me and my sisters, we don't look down on her. We understood. When we were younger, we didn't. A lot of us, we were like angry at her because she was acting a certain way with us. But then as we got older and mature, of course, we stopped being angry and accepted the fact that she just didn't know, and accepted things as it is. But also, she had a huge heart for her grandkids. Her grandkids was her light of her life. When she found out I was pregnant, oh my Lord. I thought she was going to kill me. I thought she was going to kill me. She wanted to kill, my ex-husband. But she was just so happy because I was the first one to have her grandchild. I mean, it got to the point that she was so happy that the child wasn't even born, and she bought like a bomber jacket for a 2-year-old. The baby wasn't even born yet. And I'm like, oh, it's not going to fit the baby. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. I'm like, no, it's not. But it's just her excitement of having her first grandchild, which happened to be my oldest son. And after that, then, my sisters started having their own families and their own children. And that was, forget it. She was just like over the moon. And then when she found out that my sister was having the only female out of all the grandkids, she just like, oh my God, finally a girl. I was just like, oh my God. So she went nuts. She was just so happy. But she loved all her grandkids. She loved them all, regardless how nutty she was. And that was her favorite pastime, is just spending time with the grandkids. Even my youngest son, who's right now he's 17, and he still hasn't let go of her, the memories of her. He has me making food that reminds him of her. Like, my mom used to make this amazing chicken stew, so I have to make sure I learn how to cook it the way my mom made it, just so my son could remember those good times that he spent with his grandmother. And a lot of times, like I think it was yesterday, me and my son, we were walking in the neighborhood, and when I was mentioning something about the grandmother, there was a little old lady pushing a cart. And I said, my son was like, oh, she needs to move out of the way. I'm like, you need to calm down, because that could be me in the future. So I said to him, keep in mind, that still could be me. And I said, remember, your grandmother was like that too. He's like, no, my grandmother, she was a badass. She beat anybody out of the way. I was like, oh, gosh. And that's the stuff that he remembers. Is like, my mom was a very strong person. But it's not a bad memory of my mom. It's just that's what he remembers, is my mom was a tough cookie when she needed to be. And it makes him happy just to think about those certain times that grandma was a badass. Oh, I miss mom. I do miss her. I missed me and her, like, a lot of times she would call me when I was living either with my ex-husband or ex-partner. She would call me and we would spend like literally 2 hours on the phone. Just so she would know that she's not alone, and she could spend time conversating whatever's bothering her, because a lot of times she will repeat a lot of these stories of her traumas, and a lot of times I would try to get her to forget those moments, and it was really hard for her. She was just giving up on life, and she just was just like, she refused to let go of that pain. And yes, she did go to therapy at that time, but she was so caught up on that PTSD, and it was really hard. By her feeling all that emotional pain, it started taking a lot of physical toll on her body. That's why a lot of times I say to people, it's just like you need to let go of that anger and pain and resentment, because you literally manifest that energy onto yourself, and you wind up getting sick. And if for her, unfortunately, it did become very physical for her. She wound up having congestive heart failure. She had diabetes. And then unfortunately, with the complications of diabetes, it affected her kidneys, which she wound up being on dialysis. She was already at stage 4 on dialysis. And other ailments that I can't even talk about. But one thing for sure, she always felt alone. She always felt alone, thinking that nobody loved her. And she didn't know how much everybody loved her. But she just was refusing to see that. And when the last time that she was in the hospital, because there was a lot of trips that she went back and forth in the hospital. But that last time was the time that I knew, because unfortunately that's when my psychic gifts were kicking in, right after my dad passed away. So I kept getting this premonition that my mom was starting to lose life, that she was starting to go. And I had to get my sisters mentally prepared for it. I even had to get mentally prepared, because I had the bigger task of dealing with her on day to day, because I was literally, this is the room where I always record, was basically my mom's room. And I spent a lot of times here taking care of her and trying to get her, to do her part. But the final time was when she went in the hospital. And I had to prepare my sisters, like, okay, start getting ready, because our mother's leaving us. And all I can remember is sitting by, because they had inserted morphine, because a lot of times, if people who are in dialysis might know, there's like a tube coming out of the chest that is like near the heart. She got severely so depressed that she ripped the tube out of her chest. So that made the whole situation complicated for her and created a block, like blood clots throughout her body. And when they told me that she's too far gone, that she's not going to be able to make it, I sat in that hospital next to her and I held her hand. I literally prayed with her over 24 hours. Held her hand. Made sure she knew that she was not alone. I prayed and prayed and prayed. My sister was there. My friend was there. I had family members coming. I had church people coming and praying. But then, towards the end, when everybody left, it was just me and my sister and my friend. And I kept praying so hard. I even read some passages of the Bible to her. And that's when my gifts kicked in even harder that night. I was told from the other side of the veil that your mother's leaving tonight. And I mentioned it's my sister. And my sister looked at me and she was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm letting you guys know my mom is leaving tonight." Within seconds of me saying that, her heart just stopped. I noticed it on the machine, on the monitor. Her heartbeat just dropped. And then I said to my sister, I said, Mom is gone. She looked at me and she was like, what? I was like, Mom is gone. But I'm pointing towards the machine, showing that her heartbeat just stopped. All I can do that night was thanking God for having my mom in my life and telling my mom that it's okay, it's time to go, your job is done, be at peace. I really didn't get a chance to grieve because so many things happened along the way right after my mom passed. So it was really hard for me just to sit down and have this conversation, me telling you guys about my mom. I waited till until today to talk about it. And all I can say is that the day after, I sat in this same room where my mom slept. And I looked around at her stuff and I cried because all that anger and resentment was for nothing. Because really, it makes no sense to carry anger and resentment and bitterness. It's not worth it. And all I can do is make peace with it and say, you know what? This was for me to learn and understand and accept that this was my mom's life, and she tried to do the best for her daughters. Might not have been right a lot of times, but still, she only knew what she could know. And so since that day in the hospital, I made a promise to her that I was not going to become another her, another Laura, because her name was Laura, to become another victim. I promised my mom that I was going to change my life and do good and make her proud. Because with all the sacrifice she did for me and my sisters, that's the least we can do for her, is make our mother proud. And I could tell you, we didn't come from a rich family. We all came from, public assistance, which a lot of you might not know what that is if you're in a different country. That is basically the poor man's support. We grew up on the system. I might not have got a degree on my wall. My other sisters do. But one thing that all three of us have is that we are very hard workers. All three of us, we take pride of being independent and also doing good for others. We are making sure that our mother's legacy is not in vain. And this is why I launched this channel last year. Not just to focus on the horrors of my mom's life, but to say, you know what? Yes, we all come from a really messed up environment in our lives, but we can make changes within ourselves and learn those changes, those pattern behaviors, and after being programmed in learning those bad behaviors. Now we have to do is deprogram ourselves and learning new healthy behaviors. And that is basically my mission. It's just not only learning this journey about myself, but sharing my knowledge of what I've learned and maybe help you in your own journeys of rediscovering and changing your own lives. So, Mom, I miss you. I love you. And thank you. Thank you for helping me and our sister, your daughters. I say thank you. Anybody who watches this video, thank you for watching this content. This wasn't meant to be like, a video to say, hey, share, like, subscribe. This is basically my closure and making peace with it and sharing a little bit of what my mom was about, aside of the negative stuff. Alrighty, so thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you soon in my next video. Bye.